Mr. Harrison lived in a house so grand it looked like a castle, with tall windows and a sprawling garden. He had more money than he could ever spend, but all his riches couldn't solve one problem: his daughter, Lily. Lily was 8 years old, with bright, curious eyes, but school was a struggle for her. Numbers and letters often felt like a jumbled mess in her mind, and she'd come home with a sad droop to her shoulders, clutching papers filled with red marks. Mr. Harrison loved Lily more than anything, and seeing her unhappy made his own heart ache. He wanted her to succeed, to feel confident and joyful about learning, but despite all his efforts, Lily just couldn't seem to catch up. He hired the best tutors money could buy, each one promising to unlock Lily's potential, but none of them truly helped. Each tutor arrived with glowing recommendations, promising new methods and guaranteed improvements. There was Miss Albright, who used colorful flashcards, and Mr. Jenkins, who sang math songs. But after a few weeks, the result was always the same. Lily remained confused, her grades stayed low, and her bright eyes would dim a little more. Mr. Harrison watched these cycles of hope and disappointment with a heavy heart. He saw the frustration on Lily's face and felt a growing worry deep inside him. He spent countless evenings trying to help her himself, but his own way of understanding things didn't seem to click with Lily's. He longed to see her truly grasp a concept, to witness that aha moment of understanding. The grand house felt empty sometimes, despite all its luxuries, because the one thing he wanted most, Lily's happiness and learning, seemed out of reach. He wondered if he was failing her somehow. One sunny afternoon, a few days after another tutor had given up, Mr. Harrison decided to take a walk through the large park near his estate. He needed a moment to clear his head, to think about what else he could possibly do for Lily. As he strolled past the playground, his eyes caught sight of a familiar bright pink backpack on a bench. It was Lily's. He frowned, wondering why her nanny had brought her to the park instead of their scheduled afternoon activity. But then he saw Lily. She wasn't playing on the swings or slides. Instead, she was sitting close to an older girl, perhaps a teenager, who was dressed in worn, simple clothes. The girl's hair was a little messy, and her shoes looked scuffed, hinting that she might not have a comfortable home. Lily, however, looked completely at ease, pointing to something on the ground. As Mr. Harrison moved closer, hidden behind a large oak tree, he could hear their voices. The older girl, whose name he would soon learn was Maya, was speaking softly, her words clear and gentle. She held a few small sticks in her hand, arranging them in groups on the dusty ground. "If you have 3 sticks here," she explained, "and you take away 1 stick, how many are left?" Lily's brow, usually furrowed in confusion when faced with math, smoothed out. She carefully moved a stick away, her finger tracing the remaining 2. "2," she exclaimed, her voice bubbling with a joy Mr. Harrison hadn't heard in ages when it came to schoolwork. Maya smiled warmly, then drew simple circles in the dirt to show another problem. Lily's face lit up, a genuine smile spreading across it as she understood. It was a sight that filled Mr. Harrison with a strange mix of wonder and disbelief. Mr. Harrison remained hidden, his mind swirling with questions. How could this be? He had spent a fortune on private tutors, each with fancy degrees and years of experience. Yet, here was a girl, barely older than Lily, using nothing but sticks and dirt, achieving what no one else could. Lily, who usually squirmed during lessons, was focused and eager, her small hand reaching for the sticks, her face alight with understanding. It wasn't just that she was learning, she was enjoying it. A wave of surprise washed over Mr. Harrison, followed by a mix of confusion and a flicker of hope he hadn't felt in months. He wondered who this girl was, and how Lily had even met her. He felt a strange pull to step forward, but something told him to wait, to observe this unusual lesson unfolding before his eyes. After a few more moments, watching Lily solve another problem with a proud grin, Mr. Harrison decided it was time. He stepped out from behind the tree and walked slowly towards the bench. Lily looked up first, her eyes widening, a little surprised to see her dad. Maya turned, her face showing a flicker of alarm, but then she calmly met his gaze. "Hello," Mr. Harrison said gently, trying not to scare her. "My name is Mr. Harrison, and this is my daughter, Lily. I couldn't help but notice what you were doing." Maya, though a bit shy, spoke with a clear voice. "Hello. My name is Maya. Lily and I met here yesterday. She looked a little sad, so I asked if I could help her with her homework. She looked down at her worn clothes. I live on the streets, but I love to read and learn whenever I can, and I like helping people. Mr. Harrison looked at Maya, then at Lily, whose eyes were now shining with a newfound excitement for learning. He thought about all the money he had spent, all the frustration he had felt, and how this kind girl had, in a single afternoon, brought a smile to Lily's face about math. A plan began to form in his mind. Maya, he said, his voice thoughtful, you're very good at explaining things. Lily seems to understand you much better than anyone else has. Would you be willing to teach her more often? Perhaps a few times a week, after school? Maya's eyes widened, surprised by the sudden offer. And, Mr. Harrison continued, I would, of course, pay you for your time. You deserve to be paid for your talent and kindness. He saw the flicker of hope in her eyes, a silent question about whether this was real. Maya's eyes, already wide with surprise, filled with a mix of disbelief and overwhelming happiness. A genuine smile, one that reached her eyes, slowly spread across her face. This was an offer she could only dream of, not just a chance to help Lily, which she truly enjoyed, but also a way to earn some money, a rare and precious thing for her. Yes, Mr. Harrison. Oh, yes, I would love to, she exclaimed, her voice trembling slightly with emotion. Thank you so much. I can teach Lily every day if you'd like, after school, right here in the park or wherever is best. Mr. Harrison nodded, feeling a warmth spread through him. Every day sounds wonderful, Maya. We can arrange a time that works for both of you. He knew this was the right decision. Lily, hearing the agreement, clapped her hands softly, her face beaming. The simple act of teaching, done with such care, had already brought so much light. The park bench became Lily's favorite classroom. Every afternoon, after her regular school day, she would excitedly meet Maya. Maya didn't use fancy books or complicated methods. She used whatever was around them: fallen leaves for counting, clouds to explain shapes, and stories to make reading fun. Her patience was endless, and her explanations were always simple and clear. Slowly, like a flower opening to the sun, Lily's understanding blossomed. Within a few weeks, the red marks on Lily's papers began to turn into happy stars and encouraging notes from her teacher. Her grades in math and reading jumped up. More importantly, Lily herself changed. She walked with a lighter step, her voice was brighter, and she no longer dreaded going to school. She would chatter happily about what she learned with Maya, her eyes sparkling with confidence. Mr. Harrison watched these wonderful changes, his heart swelling with pride and a deep gratitude for Maya. Each day, Mr. Harrison observed Maya with Lily, either from afar or by joining them for a few minutes. He was truly impressed. Maya didn't just teach the subjects, she taught with her whole heart. She listened to Lily's questions, celebrated her small victories, and never made her feel silly for not knowing something. Mr. Harrison saw Maya's intelligence shine through her simple explanations, and her deep well of kindness touched him deeply. It became clear to him that Maya was special. Despite facing the harshness of living on the streets, she carried a gentle spirit and a hunger for knowledge. She shared stories of things she'd read in library books and talked about dreams of going back to school herself. Mr. Harrison realized that Maya was not just a tutor. She was a natural teacher, a patient mentor, and a truly good person who deserved so much more than the difficult life she currently endured. One evening, as Mr. Harrison sat in his grand study, looking out at the city lights, his thoughts kept returning to Maya. The small payments he gave her for teaching Lily were helpful, he knew, but they barely scratched the surface of what she truly needed. He imagined her trying to sleep in the cold or finding food for the next day while he lived in such comfort. It felt wrong. He had so much, and she, with her brilliant mind and kind heart, had so little. He realized that merely paying for lessons was not enough. Maya had given his daughter something invaluable, her confidence and joy in learning. Now he wanted to give Maya something equally life-changing. He wanted to help her in a way that truly lifted her up, that gave her a real chance at the future she deserved. He began to think of a plan, a much bigger gesture than simply a tutor's wage. The next afternoon, Mr. Harrison met Maya at their usual spot in the park, but this time, he sat beside her with a serious yet gentle look on his face. Lily was playing nearby, drawing in the dirt with a stick. "Maya," he began, "you've been such a wonderful help to Lily, and you've shown her a kindness that money simply can't buy. I've been thinking, and I want to offer you more than just payment for your time." Maya looked at him, her expression a mix of curiosity and a little worry. "I want to offer you a home," he said, his voice firm but warm. "A safe place to live, in my house. You would have your own warm room, a comfortable bed, and more than enough food every day. It would be a chance for you to rest, to be safe, and to not worry about where your next meal comes from." Maya stared at Mr. Harrison, her eyes wide, trying to understand if what she was hearing was real. A home? A real bed? It felt like a dream she had given up on long ago. Before she could even form words, Mr. Harrison continued, adding to the unbelievable offer. "And that's not all, Maya," he said softly, a kind smile on his face. "I've heard you talk about how much you love to learn and how you wish you could go back to school. So, I also want to pay for you to finish your education. You can go to any school you like, study whatever you wish. I want you to have the chance to follow your own dreams, just like you've helped Lily find hers." This part of the offer hit Maya even harder. A home was one thing, but school, a chance to learn again, to build a future, was everything she had ever longed for. Maya stood frozen, the sounds of the park fading around her as Mr. Harrison's words echoed in her mind. A home, school. It was too much to take in all at once. Her eyes, which had seen so much hardship, now welled up with tears that she couldn't hold back. They streamed down her cheeks, not from sadness, but from a joy so profound it shook her to her core. Her voice caught in her throat, a choked sob escaping. "Mr. Harrison," she finally managed to whisper, her voice thick with emotion, I don't know what to say. Thank you. Thank you so much." She nodded, unable to speak more, but her silent acceptance was clear. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, a small, grateful smile breaking through her tears. Lily, seeing Maya cry, ran over and gave her a gentle hug, sensing the deep happiness in the air. The news of Mr. Harrison's grand gesture couldn't be kept quiet for long. Lily, full of excitement, told her teachers and friends that Maya, her wonderful new tutor, was coming to live with them and go to school. Soon, the story spread through the community, from the school gates to the town hall. People who knew Mr. Harrison only as a successful, rich businessman were stunned. They had expected him to simply pay for Lily's lessons, perhaps even hire a new, well-known tutor. But this, taking in a homeless girl, giving her a home, and paying for her education, it was truly amazing. Reporters even heard the tale, wanting to write about the billionaire's unexpected act of kindness. People talked about his generous heart and how he had shown what it really meant to care for someone in need. His actions inspired many, making them think about how they too could help others. Just a few days later, Maya moved into the grand house. It was a big change from the streets, but the warmth and safety felt like a gentle hug. Her new room was simple but cozy, with a soft bed and a window looking out onto the garden. Lily was beyond thrilled to have Maya living with them. She saw Maya not just as a tutor, but as a wise, kind friend, almost like an older sister she never had. Maya quickly became a cherished part of the household. She helped in small ways around the house, always offering a hand, and her gentle presence brought a new calm to their home. Mr. Harrison watched as Lily and Maya giggled over books or worked on homework together, a bond forming that was deeper than he could have ever imagined. Maya's quiet strength and loving nature fit perfectly into their family, filling their large house with more warmth and joy than it had known in years. With a safe place to live and a chance to go to school, Maya thrived. She enrolled in a local high school, eager to catch up on all the learning she had missed. Every day, she pored over her books, her natural intelligence shining through. Her grades were excellent, proving just how bright she was. But Maya never forgot her promise to Lily. Every afternoon, after her own classes, she would sit with Lily, helping her with homework. She made learning fun and easy, just as she had done in the park. Lily continued to improve in school, no longer fearing difficult subjects. Teachers were amazed by Lily's progress and her newfound love for learning. Maya, once a struggling girl on the streets, was now a shining example of how much one can grow with a little help and a lot of hard work. She showed everyone that kindness can truly change a life. The years flew by like pages turning in a favorite book. Maya worked incredibly hard, not just in high school, but then in college, too. She chose to study education, wanting to become a teacher herself, just like she had always dreamed. Her professors admired her dedication and her kind way of explaining things, skills she had learned from life's hard lessons and honed with Lily. Finally, the day came when Maya stood on a big stage, wearing a cap and gown, to receive her college degree. Mr. Harrison and Lily were there, beaming with pride, clapping louder than anyone else. Maya had achieved her dream. She soon found a job as a wonderful elementary school teacher, guiding young minds with the same patience and understanding she had shown Lily years ago on that park bench. She was a shining example of how dreams, when given a chance, can truly come true. Even after becoming a respected teacher with her own classroom, Maya never forgot where she came from or the incredible kindness that changed her path. She made sure to visit Mr. Harrison and Lily often. Sometimes, she would bring them handmade cards from her students, filled with colorful drawings and thankful words. Other times, she would simply sit and share stories of her day, her eyes sparkling with happiness. For Maya, Mr. Harrison was more than a benefactor. He was the man who had seen beyond her worn clothes and given her a chance when no one else would. He was the one who had believed in her, nurtured her dreams, and opened his home and heart. Every visit was a reminder of how one person's generosity could ripple through a life, creating a future that once seemed impossible. She always made sure to tell him how much his kindness meant to her, even years later. Watching Maya grow into the wonderful person she became, Mr. Harrison's own life changed too. He had always measured success by the size of his bank account or the height of his buildings. But seeing the light in Maya's eyes, the joy in Lily's learning, and the happiness that filled his home taught him a far more important lesson. He realized that true wealth wasn't just about having a lot of money. It was about using that money and his heart to help others. It was about making a real difference in someone's life, giving them a chance to shine. The joy he felt from helping Maya was far greater than any business deal or luxury purchase. He learned that being kind and generous brought a richness to life that no amount of gold could ever buy. This understanding made him a happier, more fulfilled man. Lily grew into a thoughtful and compassionate young woman, carrying Maya's gentle influence with her every day. She never forgot the feeling of confusion and sadness before Maya came into her life, or the light that Maya brought to her learning. Because of Maya, Lily understood that everyone, no matter where they came from or what they had, deserved kindness and a helping hand. She always looked for ways to be good to others, just like Maya had been good to her. Lily volunteered at local shelters, helped younger students with their homework, and always treated everyone with respect. She believed that a small act of kindness could make a big difference, a lesson taught not from a textbook, but from the heart of a girl who once had nothing. Maya's spirit of generosity lived on through Lily, making the world a brighter place. One warm afternoon, years after that first meeting in the park, Maya, Lily, now a bright young woman, and Mr. Harrison sat together in his beautiful garden. Maya recounted a funny story from her classroom, and Lily shared her plans for a new community project. Mr. Harrison simply smiled, listening to their happy chatter, his heart full. Looking at them, he saw a successful, joyful teacher who once had nothing, and a confident, kind young woman who had blossomed under her guidance. He saw how his decision, made out of a moment of observation and a spark of empathy, had not just helped one person, but had created a ripple of goodness that touched many lives. This moment, filled with laughter and shared memories, showed the true power of kindness. It was a beautiful ending to a story that began with a simple act of a homeless girl teaching math in the dirt, proving that a generous heart can indeed change the world.